All right, welcome back. So we're going into overtime, and I'm going to bring on our host, Doug. Welcome, Doug.
Hey, glad to be here.
Hello, welcome back.
Back
And
again.
I'm also going to bring on our celebrity guest. Welcome, William. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry about the confusion. Time zones they're a headache.
Yeah, I apologize to everybody. I completely had my head up my ass, and I just messed up.
Well, don't feel bad because so this is Willow of Skylar Productions sharing. When I posted the schedule for the event, she forgot to read the top part where you can switch your corresponding time zone. So apparently, I had everyone turned around. It's not just you. But
all right, I'm
you.
Here now. I get to visit with y'all.
That's the important thing. I'm going to drop out and let you and Doug talk.
Okay.
So nice to meet you, sir. I really appreciate you being here.
I was
Wonderful,
really digging
Doug.
that panel. I really was digging that panel you just had, by the way.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Can't wait to hear your interview, and you two have a great time.
Okay. Mr. Katt, oh my God.
Doug.
Been a fan for a long time. I mean, Butch and Sundance, the early years. I'm going back there. But just been a huge fan forever, and we're so happy to have you here and joining in with the John Ritter Foundation and helping us out with that.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. I'm sorry I messed up earlier, as I explained a moment ago. I had the great pleasure of meeting John only once, but I spent the day with him in the early '80s, and he and I and a whole contingent of celebrities, Tom Cruise and a whole bunch of people, we all went back to Washington, D.C. We all flew together on a flight, and it was Earth Day, and we were there advocating for changes, to the health of the environment. I found him to be just marvelous fellow.
That's incredible. Thank you, and we need to. I'm sure we're going to touch all over Greatest American Hero, but you have such a wide expanse of experiences that we really need to cover as much of that as possible. Like I said, I go back to Butch and Sundance, but you did Big Wednesday in 78.
No,
78.
It was Carrie, and then I followed Carrie with First Love with Susan Day, and then Big Wednesday, and then and then Butch and Sundance, and then it wasn't too long after that Greatest American Hero, but I did a lot of theater between all of those films.
Well, that was what I wanted to talk to you about, because you were raised in Hollywood. You were raised in an actor family. I'm sure nearly everybody watching knows that your mother, Barbara Hale, was just phenomenal as Della Street in all the original incarnations of Perry Mason. But your dad, Bill Williams, was Kit Carson. I mean, holy crap. Barbara Hale, Kit Carson, Ralph Hinckley, Handley, Hinckley. I mean, it goes back and forth. But
that's actually my very first costume that I wore for the stage was a junior replica of my father's Kit Carson outfit, with all the fringe, the leather and the fringe, and I had a nice little hat, and it was fun. I got to that was done for me. He was doing a personal appearance in the late 50s. He was doing a personal appearance in New Mexico, I believe it was. And so he made me this little outfit, and I got to put it on and go stand on stage and play with the clown that happened to be there. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. But that was my very first outfit that I wore professionally.
First cosplay.
Yes, first cosplay. Yes, exactly.
were you drawn to being a child actor? Because I mean, your parents were obviously in the business. Were you drawn to that, or was it something you just came to on your own later on in life?
Well, you know, I always wanted to do lots of different things. You know, I always loved music. I was a real avid surfer. I was swimming competitively from 5th grade on, right through junior high and high school and my first year of college. I enjoyed being a private pilot for a time. I toyed with the idea of doing that. But I eventually found myself in gravitating toward the theater at Orange Coast College. I was down there for my first semester of school, and I was lucky enough to get involved with South Coast Repertory, working a light and sound board behind the scenes,
right,
with the great David Ems and Martin Benson, who have won several Tony Awards for outstanding Lort theater productions. So that was my first kind of foray into professional acting, you know. And then I did some work with my first professional job was with David Jansen and Yaphet Kotto. I played a Marine sentry in a TV movie called Night Chase. Then I was on the pilot of Policewoman. I did the pilot of that with Angie Dickinson, and that really launched my career. It really launched my career. I did a quick stint in the National Guard for 6 months with the Air Force. And then I came back and I continued working with South Coast Repertory and pursuing all kinds of things, you know.
Right.
But my acting career really took off after Carrie. That really catapulted me, and gee whiz, Sissy and Nancy Allen and PJ Soles,
all of that.
Piper Laurie. I mean, we all had a great career as a result of that film, Carrie.
Speaking of Piper Laurie, it shows up in your little IMDb thing that she was like a mentor to you. And I mean, she's iconic and a wonderful, you know, iconic theatrical movie actress. How did that happen? How did she become your mentor?
Well,
or did she? Did I read that wrong?
I think you may have read that wrong, because at the time we were doing the film, I really didn't get to meet her more than I think because I didn't work on the same days that she worked, you know. So I think we met in passing at a sound stage, or when she was coming or she was going, and I met and said hello. But really, where we got to know each other was many years later. I was on the Screen Actors Guild. I was on the National Board of Directors for the Screen Actors Guild, which she was also. She was a part of that. And that's where I really got to know her. And that's where she played a big part of mentoring me in the politics of the Guild, quite honestly.
Oh.
And but she is the loveliest, most fabulous person. And just you can't say enough about her talent, you know.
You are probably in a very select group of actors who have worked with their mother a few times. I mean, I think Big Wednesday was the first time that you worked with your mom. She appeared on Greatest American Hero. You ended up being the superior Paul Drake on the Perry Mason hour-long movies, mysteries, whatever. How did
that was
like?
Well, that was fabulous. You know, I was very lucky enough. I never really got to act with my dad. He had moved in. He really left Hollywood and acting behind. By the mid-'60s, he had done that. And he became a very successful developer. He built a lot of buildings, and he really enjoyed doing that in real estate. But I did get to work with my mom. We worked together on the first time. She played my mother in Big Wednesday.
Right.
And she had a couple fabulous scenes in that I enjoyed doing. Then we did a couple of episodes. She played my mother in Greatest American Hero for 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And that was just a frickin' hoot.
And then, of course, Bill Maxwell fell for her, of course. Who
That's right.
right?
That's right. And then I got to work with her on The Masons. Now, funny enough, I had not wanted to do that after I did Hero. I really just wanted to just do theater. And at the time, I had turned it down through my agent, and I was on tour with the late, great George Rose. I was doing Pirates of Penzance, a national tour, and we were in we were in St. Louis at the time. And I got a call on the phone, and it was Raymond. Well, I knew Raymond as Uncle Raymond, so he persuaded me in his own way to be a part of the production. And so my agent, with his help and a couple other bigwigs, they got me out of my contract and flew me from there up to Toronto, and we did the first episode. And that was just marvelous working with my mom.
Oh, yeah. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I read that you actually auditioned for Star Wars. You auditioned as the Luke Skywalker role.
Well, I did. I think I'm pretty sure I saw it. It was on the deleted scenes or additional material that was on the original release of the Star Wars. I don't know, was it DVDs or the VHS tapes going back that far?
Right. I think with Kurt Russell.
With Kurt Russell, yes. Yes. And I told him he blew it for me. He blew it. But hey, we're not crying for Kurt Russell. He's he's had a pretty good career.
All right. Hey, yeah. Goldie Hawn. I mean, how can you? I mean, gee whiz. What can you say, right? Yeah. Greatest American Hero. And an outstanding TV show with incredible actors. You, Connie, Mr. Culp, just phenomenal.
Yeah, it was lightning in a bottle, I'll tell you that. The three of us together. It was just magic.
Now, the story is you saw the costume the first time on camera as your character opening the box and seeing it, and that your reaction was
that is true.
Genuine reaction.
That's true.
Is that no?
That's true. No. Steve, God love him, the late great Stephen Cannell. What a fabulous guy. Other than my father, probably the one gentleman that's had the biggest influence in my life.
Wow.
When he flew to New York, I was on stage. I was at the Phoenix Rep with doing a production of Bonjour La Bonjour with Diana Wiest. Wonderful Diana Wiest. Everybody knows her from Edward Scissorhands and so many films. And Steve came and flew out and saw the play in an afternoon, and he took me out to dinner. And we talked about the script and the story and where it was going. And I have to admit, I when I read the script, I thought it was laugh out loud funny. I did, but I wasn't intrigued to go, and I wasn't anxious to do television again.
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was happy to be in New York and do the occasional movie. But he was so gracious and so charming and lovely that he charmed me, and I agreed to do it. But he wouldn't talk about that suit. I said, "Well, Steve, what about this? What about this suit? What's this look like?" And he said, "Oh, no, Bill, we don't worry about that."
No.
He said, "Don't worry about that." So he flew me out to LA, and my hair was brown at the time. I was playing a French Canadian fellow. And so in hair and makeup, after I dyed my hair, we went back out onto the set at Paramount. We were working at Paramount at the time. And I met everybody, Alex Beaton and all the other players on his team. And but I never saw the outfit until the day of the shoot. So when you see my reaction, that's it. And when I put it on for the first time, that was the first time I put it on.
Wow, that's awesome.
I was mortified.
Oh,
no, Doug. I said, "Well, there goes my career." You know, it wasn't like getting to play a wonderful Marvel character like it is today.
Right.
At the time in the early 80s, 79, 80,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for a serious actor, which what an idiot that I thought of myself. That was just pathetic. But for someone like me, I just thought that, I'm going to be on a cereal box and I'll be opening Zodies, doing in-store appearances. But
stereotyping was typical back then. I mean, you looked at George Reeves, you looked at Adam West, you look at all the people who played those iconic type characters. They got locked into that.
Yeah.
Thankfully it's not that way anymore.
No,
but I'm sure you were coming in on the tail end of that.
Yeah, no, and you got to realize there was no Comic Cons back then. There was no cons, right? I could have taken that suit and I didn't. God, that's another head knocker.
Next time for the reunion, you'll get it on the reunion.
The reunion, yeah. Well, they tried a show not too long ago. My good friend George Wendt was in it. They did a pilot of a new show with a girl in the lead, a young East Indian gal who I'm remiss. I don't remember her name. Very funny, lovely young actress. And George Wendt was in it, and it didn't go for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, I remember you doing the Greatest American Heroine pilot with the kindergarten teacher,
right?
And Bob Culp coming back in to continue that thread. I did not know there was a more recent one.
Oh, just about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Yeah, because 20th Century Fox had that. No, it's one of Steve's daughters. After Steve passed, he kept and gave the licensing and rights to Tanya, his daughter, who was a wonderful producer, director in her own right. And she was working with some folks out of 20th Century Fox who ended up having the rights to it along with her. And they tried to make it happen. And I don't know what happened. I was never able to see it for some reason. They kept it under wraps. And I guess.
Well, that ain't right.
I know. Do something, Doug.
That's right. Let me get him on the phone.
I'm just looking. There's someone asked me about the Fairy Tale Theater. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do. That Shelley Duvall.
Oh yeah.
It was wonderful.
Oh, I think Robin Williams did an episode. So many
Reed, Bernadette Peters. Some of the major players.
It was lovely, and I got to be the Flower Prince opposite of Carrie Fisher, who was playing Thumbelina.
Wow,
I know, pretty amazing. That was great, and I got to kiss her. And I remember saying, we were doing the scene where I was kissing her. And I said, Carrie, you just got married. It was only like a month ago to Paul Simon. I said, How is he going to feel about that? You know? And she said, "Oh, Bill," she said, "this is the only time I can get away with it." On a set. She was great. What a hoot.
Pirates of Penzance. A lot of people, I don't know if everybody watching understands what kind of a musical background you actually have. Watching you in Pippin was phenomenal. I loved your version of Pippin. You released, I know of one album under, I think it's Billy Katt. You were
I did many years ago. It was a little overproduced and not quite. There was too many cooks in the kitchen with that. But I got to do it, and that was wonderful.
Do you still do music? Do you still play, perform, sing?
Well, I do for me. I mean, I'm not a professional musician, but it's my hobby. I play music every single day, and I have for 50 years. You know, I played my piano and guitar, and I have a little thing here, and I really enjoy that. And you know, it's like instead of bowling, I play music. Yeah.
Wow. So I don't know if this is an uncomfortable thing or not.
What's that?
Early in the production of Greatest American Hero, when it was just, I mean, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have, you know, all we had were Starlog, we had the fan magazines,
right?
And there was talk that you and Robert Culp kind of butted heads in the beginning, but then found this merge, found this way to work with each other. Was that true? Was that just fiction for magazines?
No. That was true. For some reason, Bob didn't take a liking to me. Maybe because I had first billing. I'm not sure. But it wasn't Greatest American Hero and Friends. It was Greatest American Hero. Right. So that was probably it. I'm being a little bit snobbish and stuck up. Forgive me. I'm an asshole for doing it. But I'm just poking fun at Bob.
That's right. I mean, yeah, it's just you and me, right? Nobody else.
Yeah. It's just us. It's just, you know, just our secret.
That's right.
But you know, we had a bit of it was difficult coming to terms. And we didn't for the first few weeks. And then I remember going to his trailer we were on location somewhere. We were always on location, and knocking on his door. And I said, "Mr. Culp," I said, well, I called him Bob. I said, "Robert, we should come to some sort of détente here, you know, and there should be an arrangement so that we can work together, at least professionally." And it was then and then working thereafter that we really got to be very good professional friends. We were never really close buddies. Right. We were great professional friends, always working in concert together on the script. We made just about every scene you saw. We made lots of dialogue changes. We didn't change the plot. We didn't want to mess with what the writers had created or the producers, but we did twist the dialogue so it felt comfortable coming out of our mouths. And I learned a lot about writing from Bob Culp because I don't know if people know this. Bob Culp first thought of himself as a writer, then he thought of himself as a director, and then he thought of himself as an actor. Lastly, that's the way Bob always thought. And
you can't watch TV Land or any of the old black and white television shows without seeing Robert Culp's name show up as a writer on a lot of, especially Westerns at the time. But I'm sure that being the writer and director, there's a mindset with that might have been the reason that you two just missed a little bit in the beginning. But
well, I think, you know, looking back at it, if I was if I was outside of the thing and looking back with some perspective, I think it kind of worked that we didn't care for each other initially, because you saw it in the pilot. We worked pretty much in a linear fashion on that show. We shot the beginning and worked our way through the script, not all the time, but most of the time. So in the beginning, when we first met in the little cafe, when I took the high school kids on a trip, a school outing, and we met at the cafe, and Michael, oh God, one of the students has this with Bob Culp,
right?
And he takes a disliking for me, the teacher, and that was all. That all worked really, really like kind of methody, you know, that he didn't like me, and I wasn't crazy about him at the time. And then you saw that great scene that we did when he comes to my high school, Ralph's high school, and it's in the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
When he said, "Okay, kid, I want to tell you how it's going to go down, right? You work for me. You wear the suit. I call the shots, and you do what I say." And I take him to task on that. And there was some real heated tension there on the set that day, you know, because that was the actor Bob Culp talking to the actor William Katt. You know,
not so much character, but
who's in charge here. But it worked. And then it was thereafter we became famous professional friends, you know. And Connie, oh my God, let's talk about Connie.
Oh, please.
Just what a lovely gal. You know, she walked on set and everyone's head turned. She's so beautiful. You know, that black hair and the big green eyes, and just funny as shit. People don't know how funny Connie is. She has a wonderful sense of humor. And in fact, we've stayed good friends all these many years later.
Well, and I love that you said that you and Bob Culp ended up with almost a shorthand on being able to communicate with each other and connect with each other, because that was the word of him with Bill Cosby on I Spy, was that they ended up just developing that type of we don't have to talk, we connect, we're good.
Right. It was Robert Culp and Connie Selica and myself. I mean, all three of us. We just, for some reason, it just worked.
We have questions coming up over here on the side.
Okay.
Steve Fisher, starting as a young kid through to today, I've always been a huge dinosaur nerd. I loved Baby Secret of the Lost Legend when I saw it. Mm-hmm. How many animatronic dinos were used, and what was that like?
Really, we made that film, I think it was like just the year before Spielberg came out with Jurassic Park. So when we did it, there was not a lot of animatronics. That little baby that you saw, there was actually a small actor inside of that manipulating that little creature. And I'll tell you, it was hot. We shot that just outside of Abidjan in the Ivory Coast, the west coast of Africa. It was 120 degrees every day. Wow. It was brutal, just brutal. And these people would crawl in that thing, and they could only work for like 15 or 20 minutes because it was just deathly hot.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was not a lot of animatronics. I think they came back, and the big dinosaurs they added after the fact. Wonderful director Bill Norton did that, and that was a lot of fun working with Sean Young. She's a trip. Yeah. I love Sean. She's a trip.
And then House. What a great. I mean, it's such a rare genre for the comedic horror movies. I mean, you can go back to Abbott and Costello Meet the Wolfman. You can go back
one
to
of my favorites. Oh my God, one of my favorites, Abbott and Costello. Just that's where it all came from. But let me give credit where credit is due, because Steve Miner, who directed that, he was kind of the mastermind behind all of that. He and I got along really, really well. Our sense of humor was very dark, both of our sense of humor. And a lot of that, I want to give credit to him because he's just a wacky guy who's got, who just had so much fun. And I think at the time it was one of the first comedy horror films that was newly done.
Right.
You know, it was post MTV. It was one of the first comedy horror films post MTV.
Because, you know, I just recently watched, I think it was Boris Karloff, but all these great horror actors in The Raven just chewing the scenery, just having a ball, being just really silly. Yeah. So, you know, and then, you know, you coming along with House, I thought, oh, I'm going to go see a scary movie. No, this is a funny, scary movie. This is outstanding. You mentioned that George Wendt is a friend of yours. Were you friends before you did House?
No, we weren't. We weren't friends before then. And we actually drifted apart for a long time. But because of the con circuit, I've been out on doing a few cons every year for 8 or 9 years now. And George is out there doing that, and we're both repped by the same individual.
Right. And Richard Mall. I mean, you had some heavy hitters in that. I mean, besides yourself, you had some home run hitters out there in that movie.
Yeah, we did. And then that was great. And a little while later, we did a wonderful film, small film, but it turned out the script was wonderful. A film called Man from Earth that has done quite well. A very successful cult film.
There's a question here I'm not sure that I understand, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it at you anyway. What was the process in returning for the CW crossover? We were so excited to see you, knew it was you right away.
Yeah. They called me and asked. It was the first crossover, I believe. Don't quote me on this, but I believe it was the first crossover that they did. And they asked me if I would come up, and it was only a day of work. Unfortunately, I was hoping to be invited into that universe because I like the show. But they killed me off right away. But the director, and forgive me, I forget his name, lovely fellow. He was a big fan of Greatest American Hero. So he was paying homage to his early hero. Well, and he brought me up for a day, and I got to meet all those fabulous actors. And it was a very nice time.
What are you doing now? What's going on? What are your plans now? What's going on? I
pretty much retired from acting. I haven't been doing much in that. I don't have an agent anymore. I work for friends when they call. You know, if it's a decent project, nice project, and I get to work with friends, and the food is free. You know, they provide craft service table and lunch.
There you go.
You know, I've been very fortunate in my life. I don't have to work, and I'm comfortable, and so I enjoy working periodically when I go out there. I am going to do something coming up, a few days of work on a film called When We Get There, for some young friends of mine. Lovely, fun film, a road film. And I believe Alfred Molina is going to appear in that film as well. I don't know who the actress will be yet, but I'm hoping to get Nancy Allen or maybe Mindy Sterling or somebody else that I know to come and spend a evening with me having fun. And,
that'd be great. Oh, man.
Memorizing a couple lines. So we'll see. Yeah, it's called When We Get There, and I think the film is being put together now. I think these are added scenes that the director wanted to do. Good script.
Everybody make a note.
Yeah, there you go.
You seemed to be the one keeping Greatest American Hero alive for a while. I again going just to the magazines because we didn't have the interwebs then. But
Yeah.
it seemed like you were promoting some novels. You were promoting comic books. I know you started the Catastrophic Comics.
Yeah.
But were you instrumental in trying to keep Greatest American Hero going?
Well, I just thought it was fun. I thought it was something that I'd been a fan of comic books. I read lots of comic books when I was a kid, and I thought it was. I had a good friend of mine at the time, Chris Foligno. He and I devised this plan to try and relaunch a comic book line, and we had a third partner. And unfortunately, we were blessed. Stephen Cannell was still with us at that point, and he gave his blessings to it.
Oh.
And but unfortunately, we only did the first 3 comic books, which was kind of our retelling of the original pilot of Greatest American Hero. We had plans to keep going, but it just didn't work out for one reason or another. I ended up working on it so much, spending so much time doing it, that it really wasn't financially worth my while to do.
Right.
You know, I spent all my time doing that just for the 3 books.
Right.
So
when the whole attempted assassination thing came and they changed Ralph Hinckley to Ralph Handley,
yeah,
how did they approach you with that? What was that process?
That was very quick. I mean, that happened. We were on location. I can't remember the exact location. We were on location somewhere, and when the attempted assassination took place, and it wasn't but a little while later, when the name was revealed that it was Hinckley, they decided that the producers called Stephen, and they all powwowed, and they decided that they were going to change the name, and it became Ralph Henley, for I think just one episode. And then it was Michael Pare, actually, if truth be told, that shortly thereafter, we were in class and he raised his hand for something. He called me Mr. H. And thereafter, Ralph became Mr. H to the kids.
I am a retired elementary school teacher. My last name starts with H, so I have been Mr. H for a very long time. So I totally identified with that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Anyway, what else can I? Nothing much else that I can reveal. I'll be in Atlanta the end of the month at a con in Atlanta, and then in the first week of April, I'll be in Nashville at a con. And
you'll be close to me then. I'm 4 hours. I'm 4 hours from Atlanta. I'm 4 hours from Nashville. I'm in far east Tennessee. People call Knoxville East Tennessee. I'm 102 miles east of Knoxville. So,
goodness sakes.
Yeah, I'm a 20-minute drive from North Carolina and a 20-minute drive from Virginia. So I'm right in that corner. So yeah, it's not a bad travel area. I mean, 4 hours.
I drove through it last summer. I was doing a film in Arkansas, and I drove right through that area. After I finished in Arkansas, I was driving to see one of my kids in Virginia. And I drove right through Knoxville and east, right down and up the Shenandoah Valley. Yep.
Well, it has been wonderful having you here. I know we still got time, and if more questions come in, did you ever see or hear the rock cover of Believe It or Not in Gilmore Girls, and did you like it?
I did not.
There's a rock cover of Believe It or Not in Gilmore Girls.
Wow.
I guess we're going to be both on YouTube later, aren't we?
Yeah, I want to see that. Yeah. I thought it was fun keeping Greatest American Hero alive. For a show that only ran 3 seasons, it had long legs.
Yeah.
As Seth MacFarlane once said, it was great that he paid homage, on Family Guy. He paid homage to The Greatest American Hero, and George Costanza on Seinfeld. He famously had it on his recording.
Oh yeah, answering machine. Yeah.
Well, I think that, and the fact that the song of Believe It or Not was on continual rotation at so many stations across the
top
country.
10.
It really kept the show alive,
If they came to you for a reunion and asked you to step into the Bill Maxwell role, not really, I mean, still being Ralph, but still step into that mentor role, would that be something you'd be interested in revisiting?
Oh, it would be fun to do the show again in whatever capacity that the creators would have in mind. I don't know that I would cast myself as carrying the torch for Bill Maxwell, for FBI guy. But there might be something that I could do in there. They could wheel me out in a wheelchair and I could go, "You're over there."
Well, we have a question.
I tell you, that red suit would not look great on me now.
Spandex is not our friend.
No.
Somebody else has already asked, what is your favorite role? And I've got a follow-up after that. What has been your favorite role to play, stage or screen?
Well, my work on stage probably that's my favorite place to live. I really enjoyed doing Pippin. I was very, very lucky 10, 15 years ago to work with Randy Newman. Wow. And I got to play, it was an ensemble cast, the story of Randy Newman's life. And working with him was like a master's class in being a musician and a performer. That was extraordinary. I got to do a wonderful show in Kansas City called Smoke on the Mountain that I love doing, playing a preacher, a singing preacher. And again, it was an ensemble cast, but we just had a ball every night. We played guitar. I played guitar, accordion, stand-up bass, piano. We all played different instruments in this 2-hour show. It was just a ball. I had a great time. So what's my favorite? I don't know. It would probably be so many theater experiences I've loved doing. Pippin probably is right up there.
Well, and right there, Kristen Marie is already, because I love Pippin.
Yeah.
Any tales of working with Ben Vereen and Martha Ray?
Well, Martha Ray was so lovely, and I came real close to working with her again in Kiss of the Spider Woman. A number of years after that on Broadway. I didn't get it, but I think I was the second choice. But that only counts in horseshoes. But she was lovely to work with, had wonderful stories. I knew her daughter previously, who was a wonderful choreographer. And working with Ben, he was just magic, as he comes out and magic in the first song.
Magic to do.
I was an actor that could move, but I was not a dancer by any means. And he spent 2 consecutive Sundays for 3 or 4 hours with me, teaching me how to do that, the choreographed dance number that we do together.
Right.
The right moves, I think that was the name of the thing. Yeah. He came in and taught me that whole dance, which was, he didn't have to do. That was his day off.
Oh, and that sets professionals apart.
Yeah.
That's what you gravitate towards.
Yeah. He was a consummate professional. Yeah.
Were there any roles that you were offered that you passed on that you had second thoughts about afterwards, that you wish you had gone ahead and accepted?
I can't think of any offhand. There's a couple films I've done 2 or 3 that I wish I hadn't done. I wish I could have bought the negatives. But you know, at the time there were reasons. You know, you do a film for the money because, or you want to go on a nice location, or you get to work with your friends, or you want to work with the director and the writer. Fabulous. So, but at the time I made some big mistakes in my career. I was going through a divorce, and it was I needed money, quite frankly, and I made some bad mistakes, but it's all worked out. It's all worked out.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, we're online.
There we are.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
You're still, yeah, and still
you're there, Doug. Yeah. So everything's worked out.
Yeah. We are running short on time. I will host a few Q&As at some conventions every now and then. One of my favorite questions to ask a celebrity is, who is the most famous person in your phone, and would you call them and put them on speaker so we can all say hi? I do that, but
let me see if I can get Obama on the phone. Okay,
there it is. That's it. Why not? Right?
Where's his number? I know it's here. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Trump's number.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
No, that's my number. What are you talking about?
Doug. Yeah.
Hey.
There you go. I don't have anyone in particular that I could. Maybe Gary Busey. He's a friend. I like Gary. Yeah, I could call Gary, and he'd get on the phone. And go, What?
Well, thank you again so much for joining us, for making time for us, coming back and finding us, and all of your memories of John, all of your memories of the work. This has been an incredible honor for me, and I really appreciate everything that you've done.
My pleasure, Doug, and I'm sending my best to you and to everyone listening. I'm so privileged and lucky to be able to be here with you and with all of the very lovely fans out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're gonna go to a little commercial spot for the John Ritter Foundation, and we will be right back.
Our charity partner for this year's Multiverse FunRaiser is the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health. They exist to spread awareness of aortic health and prevent unnecessary suffering through genetic research, widespread education, and radical advocacy. Simply click on the link at our website, www.themultiversefunraiser.com, that says donate here, and that will take you to our Just Giving link. All donations go directly to the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health. As a bonus, every $10 donation that you give enters you into our sweepstakes to win fantastic prizes. All information can be found at our website under giveaway. So thank you for watching and thank you for supporting.
Hello, everyone. If you are still here and listening, I just wanted to say thank you so much for participating in this year's Multiverse FunRaiser. The convention is technically over, but the donation period is not. Last I checked, we were at $931, which is amazing. We raised, I believe, over $800 in 2.5 days. Yes, $931. My backstage help was just letting me know. So thank you from me, Kelly, and Kristen. That's your board of directors here for this event. And thank you so much to all the celebrities, all the panelists, all the hosts. It's been amazing. You can still donate. We have a $2,000 goal. It's going to be open for at least another week, and you can still enter the giveaway. I want to make a quick note. You can still keep your amount and name anonymous from everybody except those 3 of us who I just named, because it's every $10 you donate. Some people who've donated anonymously have not entered, and that's totally fine if you even don't want to tell us how much you donated. If you want to enter one entry, just email us using those giveaway instructions on our website, and you can still enter, and we will not make it public anywhere, even if you win how much you donated, because I know anonymity is important to a lot of our donors. Yeah, basically, we're going to be cutting this into individual clips to help with the replay. We're going to have some tiny clips, just sharing some highlights, and then we'll have each panel and each interview separated into its own video. So make sure you're sharing this with your friends. Make sure that you spread the word about the amazing work that the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health does. I'm going to play our donation directions one more time. And in case we don't hear from you again, you've been an awesome audience. Thank you so much.
Our charity partner for this year's Multiverse FunRaiser is the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health. They exist to spread awareness of aortic health and prevent unnecessary suffering through genetic research, widespread education, and radical advocacy. Simply click on the link at our website, www.themultiversefunraiser.com, that says donate here, and that will take you to our Just Giving link. All donations go directly to the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health. As a bonus, every $10 donation that you give enters you into our sweepstakes to win fantastic prizes. All information can be found at our website under giveaway. So thank you for watching and thank you for supporting.